Number 20. The Internet has changed many things about our lives since it became widespread about 5 or 10 years ago. Some of the effects of the Internet have been good. However, some of them haven't. The Internet helps people keep in touch with their friends and family members. They can use email, chat, and so on. You can also meet new people who share your interests. There are discussion lists and bulletin boards for almost any interest. However, you cannot see the people face-to-face that you meet on the Internet. Therefore, you do not really know who they are. Is someone who is claiming to be a 15-year-old girl really a 40-year-old man? There is a dark side to the Internet. People have been hurt or killed when they meet people face-to-face that they originally met on the Internet. The Internet is also a huge source of information. You can find information about a very wide variety of subjects. You can find out about the time in New York City, the history of Poland, or famous places in Ireland. Of course, you need to evaluate the information that you find on the Internet. Anyone can post anything they want to on the Internet. You need to find out who wrote the information and whether they can be believed. You need to find out how recent the information is. You need to think about whether the person might have some reason for giving information that is not correct. For example, sometimes medical information on the Internet is put on web pages by people who want you to buy a particular medicine. Of course, there are problems with the Internet. However, on balance, I think that the Internet has made the lives of people better.
Number 21. Jane Austen, 1775 to 1817, is one of the greatest and most influential novelists in English. She almost invented the novel about everyday life. Her books are still read and loved all over the world 200 years later. She used themes that are universal. Jane Austen was born on December 16, 1775, in a village in England. Her father was a rector, the minister of a church. In addition, when she was a child, her father taught students who came to live with the family. Therefore, she was better educated than most women in her time. She apparently began writing for her family when she was about 12 years old. She wrote plays which were performed by family members. In 1809, Austen began her serious writing. She wrote Sense and Sensibility. It is the story of two poor sisters and how their relationships with two men changed their lives. The book was accepted by a publisher. It was published without the author's name. It received fairly good reviews. The success of Sense and Sensibility encouraged Austen. She next wrote what would be her most famous and beloved book, Pride and Prejudice. It is the story of Elizabeth Bennet, the second of 5 daughters. Elizabeth had to marry or possibly face a life of poverty. It was published in early 1813, also without the author's name. In total, Austen finished 6 books as an adult. Jane Austen died on July 18, 1817, at the age of 41. She was buried in Winchester Cathedral. It has been nearly 200 years since Jane Austen died. However, her books are still widely read and admired. In fact, there was a great revival of interest in Austen in the 1990s. At that time, successful films were made of several of her novels.
Number 22. America's National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, was founded nearly 50 years ago. It has been involved in sending humans to the moon, as well as other forms of space exploration. Since 1981, one of NASA's major projects has been the Space Shuttle. Previous spacecraft could only be used once. However, a space shuttle was developed that could be used for more than one flight. In April 1981, the first space shuttle, Columbia, was carried into space by rockets. When it returned to Earth, it landed under its own power, like an airplane. After its first test flight, it was carried back from the landing site to the launch site on the back of a large airplane. There were 4 test flights with crews of 2 men, before a 5th flight with a full crew of 7. On this flight, 2 satellites were released into orbit. More space flights showed the usefulness of the shuttle. 4 more space shuttles were built: the Challenger, Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour. Between 1981 and 2003, NASA launched more than 100 shuttle flights, sometimes as many as 8 in a year. On the space shuttle, the astronauts were able to do various kinds of work. Some of them released satellites into space. Others did experiments in space. They released the Hubble Space Telescope into space and worked on repairs to the telescope. This telescope has allowed scientists to learn more about faraway stars and planets. The long-term purpose of the space shuttles is to build a space station. A space station would allow people to work in space for long periods of time. A space shuttle could transport people back and forth between Earth and the space station to build it and later to live on it.